Hello, welcome to this your channel, the Eurofan. That's me. It is the chair of the host country of the edition, after Lorene's victory in last year's contest, bringing on the competition to Sweden for the 7th time in its history, having equal to Ireland in number of victories, consolidating as a true Eurovision superpower. It was clear that the Scandinavian country will keep the same lineup on the search for their next entry, this time with the advantage of being pre-qualified to the grand final. Let's see that who were the host artists in charge of waving the Swedish colors in Malmö. Here we go. For today's episode, I'm going to review the Swedish entry for Eurovision 2024, which has been represented by the duo Marcus and Martinus with the song Unforgettable. First of all, we are going to take a look at the biography and career of these guys before having their Eurovision experience on their now country of residence. Maybe you do not know at first who are the Gunnarsson brothers. In this case, it is the last name of the twin brothers Marcus and Martinus, who are a Norwegian dance pop duo. They come from the town of Elverum, located in southern Norway, and grew up in the town of Trofors at the north. Their musical beginnings date from 2012, having them 10 years old, with their participation in the 11th season of the musical contest Melody Grand Prix Junior, which many years ago used to be the junior national final that selected the Norwegian representative at Junior Eurovision. But since the withdrawal of Norway in 2006, the format moved forward without having any links with the junior contest. Curiously, they will win that edition on that year with the song Two Drop Event, which in English translates as 2 drops of water, with which maybe they will have represented Norway at Junior Eurovision in Amsterdam, Netherlands, if the country were participated by them. They will get fame and recognition in their native country after their victory in the musical contest, and even shortly after they will sign their first record deal with a world-renowned record label. Then in 2015 they will release their debut studio album fully in Norwegian, with which they achieved an outstanding success topping the musical charts of the country, with the singles coming from this recording work. They will release their second studio album the following year, giving a turn in this case being the first recording work entirely in English, performing their songs in this language from now on. This release would also be successful, topping the musical charts not only in Norway, but also in Sweden, Finland, Denmark and Poland. Also, the year 2017 will be remarkable for them, having their first flirtations with Eurovision. Earlier that year, they were one of the guest artists in the 5th edition of the Finnish national final Uuden musiikin kilpailu, where they performed a medley of their greatest hits. And months later, they were the spokespersons for the votes of the Norwegian jury during the contest held that year on Kiev, Ukraine. In the other hand, in the middle of that year, they will perform a song especially written for Princess Victoria of Sweden in a special event for her 40th birthday named on this day. Throughout the year, they will be releasing more singles that will be later included in their third studio album, being officially released at the end of that year. From that, the duo loved their presence both in the musical scene and the media, releasing only a bunch of singles in the following years, and an EP in 2019 as well, which did not have too much transcendence. Years later, in 2022, the duo will decide to establish professionally in neighboring Sweden in an attempt to relaunch their musical career after being some time out of the spotlight. They will do it initially by participating in the second season of the Swedish version of the musical contest, the Max Singer, casually achieving the victory at the end of the season. In that same trend following up their musical career, they will also implement 2 important changes. They will leave the record label with which they started their musical career in Norway to sign another record deal in Sweden, and they will be also more involved in the composition of the songs in comparison to their previous recording works. Another one of the strategies they have had in mind in the relaunch of their musical career was attempting to participate at Eurovision, in this case sending potential entries to the mythical Swedish national final Melody Festival Festivalen. This especially comes to attention because they could have done it by participating in Melody Grand Prix in their native country, taking into account they are already established artists from many years ago. But they reveal in some interviews that they opted to do it instead at Melody Festivalen because it was already a larger competition in terms of production and television ratings. In my opinion, it is not that Melody Grand Prix could be considered as a not very powerful national final, but it is true that Melody Festivalen is an authentic musical and television phenomenon that it is not even outside of Europe. The twins will have their first attempt on last year into the mythical national final, competing with the song Air and being very close to make it, by placing second behind Loreen, who will end up indisputably winning that edition, and then subsequently the contest on British soil as we already know. Not being satisfied with the result, they will give a try once again this year, looking for a revenge somehow. Let's see more in detail how resolved this second attempt for them. Following the habit, the Swedish public broadcaster will organize what is going to be the 64th edition of the renowned national final Melody Festival that will select the Swedish representative that will have the advantage of playing on home soil. The submission period was open from late August to mid-September of last year for the Swedish artists and songwriters who wanted to send their proposals. By the deadline, it was known that 2,624 proposals were received. Although it was a slight decrease compared to the last edition, it is still also a pretty high number, as usually happens with every edition. Like in recent editions, the half of the contestants will be selected from this open submission, while the other half will come by direct invitation of the broadcaster. Then, in early December of last year, it will be announced the artists that will participate in the national final, being Marcus Martinus among the chosen ones, participating for the second year in a row, and becoming the big favorites to win the national final. About the format, this year will have more changes, in addition to the ones already implemented during the previous two editions. The semi-final will be ultimately dismissed by becoming another heat, just having 5 heats. The number of contestants will be increased to 30, 2 more than in the previous 2 editions, with 6 artists competing in each heat, keeping the same qualification method as usual. The proposals ranking 3rd and 4th in each one of the heats will advance to a second chance round that will be done just after finishing the 5th heat, in which the voting window will be opened one more time to decide the remaining 2 finalists, qualifying the top 2 from all these, then having a final show with 12 proposals. Marcus and Martinus will make their first appearance in the 5th and last heat, qualifying straight to the final show after placing first in the first round of voting by the public. Then during the final show, which took place in mid-March as usual, after the performances of all the finalists, the voting results confirmed their predictions towards the twins, being the absolute favorites from both the international jury and the public, gaining the victory in the national final, and thus achieving, after 2 attempts, the right of representing Sweden on the main stage of Malmö. It is a somewhat toxic and dangerous love story. Now we will see a little more in detail about this proposal with which they attended the contest as hosts. Being true to their style, the melody is an electropop track, which has this distinguishing Swedish pop signature as they usually send to the contest, while their voices, on the other hand, are pretty good and suitable to the genre. The lyrics have been written by themselves together with a renowned group of songwriters. We are talking in this case of Jimmy Tornfer, Joy Depp and Linnea Depp, all of them are highly experienced Swedish songwriters, which have been throughout the years behind many entries for the contest, both for Sweden and other European countries. About the contest behind the song, they describe it as a tale about a dangerous love relationship with a female lover identified as venomous, but that despite of it, the male lover in the relationship ends up in too deep with her, suggesting that even he could have been hypnotized by her, taking control of his body, and that although he is conscious about the dangers of that relationship, He describes it as unforgettable, appealing to the song's title. Reading the lyrics in detail, it can be easily perceived the contest described previously, where it is expressed that dangerous and addictive character that a relationship can have, to the point of feeling empty and hollow without any escape, as it is normal with this type of songs. More than a message, it transmits an intense emotional state that is quite implicit in this case. Having reviewed the song, now I'm going to analyze their live performance in the national final, which serves as the official music video for this proposal. The performance presents a predominantly dark staging with a tenuous lighting on red and white tones. With the first verse, you can see they are between two panels with LED stripes, which together with the visual graphics of the LED screens of the stage gives a futuristic approach, being kept throughout all the performance. As the lighting increases, you can see the twins wearing futuristic outfits in black and blue, and then during the first chorus, 4 dancers appear, wearing leather outfits that reminds many of the characters of the Matrix film series. They make a short choreography between the panels, using shots from above and from the front, and then the dancers get out of the scene before the second verse, keeping the same dynamic, and then the dancers get out of the scene just before the second verse, keeping the same dynamic, noticing in some moment that the panels expand to the sides, with the staging area becoming wider. There are also remarkable lines of code and timers appearing intermittently in the leg screens of the bottom of the stage, after showing the song's title. For the second chorus, the dances appear again together with them, and then realize different choreographies which are kept during the song's outro, finishing the performance with the timers getting to 0. After their victory in the national final, they were promoting their entry in many of the Eurovision pre-parties of the season, as many of their fellow contestants from the audition, doing a more simplified staging, but still having a pretty good vocal performance from them. Curiously, a few days before the contest, an accusation came, which has become recurrent in the Swedish proposals in recent years, and it is because many people have commented through the social media that it is very similar to the song Salva Mega by British electronic music group Faithless, which was also the debut single for the band in 1995. Obviously, the twins were questioned on this matter in a talk show for the Swedish television. They replied that probably they will have 4 similar notes, and that those same 4 notes appeared in many more songs. So they did not think it was an important matter. This reminds also what exactly happened to Rorin last year with her entry, but like in this case, beyond the similarities with the melody, it will not have too much transcendence in a chord in case of a possible report. For the staging in Malmö, it was quite predictable that they will keep the same one done in the national final, and this case was not the exception, as it could be seen in the first rehearsals, although doing some slight adaptations, taking into account that there was a bigger stage, and also by having additional elements to what they took advantage for the presentation of their proposal. Watching their live performance in the grand final, casually opening the show, it was evidencing they have done it exactly the same like in the national final, as it could not be in other way, which in this case was amplified to the fullest as I have mentioned before. Then, during the voting results, the jury ranked them initially in the 8th place, being omen of a very good result, but then with the results from the televote, they will descend 1 spot, placing finally in the 9th place. Making a summary of all the comments, the Swedish entry for this year is fine. It keeps the same trend followed in these last editions, so it was predictable in some way. They know that Swedish pop usually works pretty well at the contest, thus they evidently look to keep that same trend. It is also stood out that it was the first time that Sweden has been fully represented by foreign artists, although it is not the first time that a foreigner has attended the contest for the Scandinavian country. Previously, the Norwegian Swedish singer Elisabeth Andreasen represented Sweden in 1982 as one of the members of the band Chips during the edition held on Harrogate, United Kingdom. Shortly after their participation in the contest, the duo would release their 4th studio album, their first album in more than 7 years, where all the singles promoted during the last 2 years will be included, and of course the song with which they have participated eventually at the contest, which also gives name to the album. It is also known that the twins will be focused on their return to the musical scene, as they will be embarking in their first tour in many years to promote their latest recording work, so we will still have much more news from them for sure. And you? What do you think about the Swedish entry for this year? Leave your comments down below so we can follow up the discussion. And this is it for today's episode. Don't forget to like this video if it was of your taste so it can be reached to more people. In the same way, subscribe to my channel if you have not done it yet, enable notifications by the bell, and find me through my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.